What is up? Welcome to episode 18 of Etsy Jam. In this episode, we talk about the acronym AIDA. You'll learn what it stands for and how you can apply it to your listings photos. AIDA is something you can apply to any e-commerce photos, so feel free to take the concepts over to your Amazon Handmade or Shopify listings as well.
What is up, guys? Welcome to episode 18 of Etsy Jam. In this episode, we have a very special guest. Wait, we don't have a special guest today. In fact, this is like the first episode in a long time that we don't have a guest with us. So hopefully we remember how to do these things. I don't even know. Do you remember, Richie, what we're supposed to do when we're not talking to somebody?
I don't know for sure. I was hoping maybe you had like the book on that. I feel like we wrote it down at some point.
I could interview you.
That could happen. Actually, you know what I thought you were going to do when you said special guest? I see you have a pumpkin in your hand, and I thought that you had maybe had like a face drawn on it. And we're going to
like Wilson.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to do something like that.
Here's our special guest.
It's a pumpkin. Now remind me what month it is, because we're actually recording this on the 1st of September, aren't we? And you already have a pumpkin.
Yeah, he fell off the vine early, and he was all green, and he finally turned orange. But he's definitely early. I don't know what we're going to do with him.
Well, this is a great spot. Episode 18.
That's right.
All right, so what are we talking about today?
So today we're talking about AIDA, and specifically with your photos. And AIDA is an acronym, and it stands for Aircraft Intelligence, Detection, and Analysis. And this is something easy you can apply to your... Yeah.
That sounds super relevant to Etsy.
Okay, so maybe that's not what it stands for.
Yeah, maybe we can change the topic a little bit. So what if instead we talked about something like a technique that any seller can use to improve the conversion rate of their listings and actually bring more traffic to their listings? Does that catch your attention a little bit?
I think that sounds better.
Okay, that sounds cool. What if I told you that you could probably use a lot of the photos you already have and just make some edits to them to make them a little bit more interesting?
Go on. I'm interested to learn more.
Okay. All right. What if I told you that I could tell you just about everything you need to know in probably like a 20 to 30 minute podcast, at least to get you going. Maybe not make you an expert in it, but get you going. And you're going to see those results immediately.
That sounds pretty desirable. I think I would be interested in that.
All right. Well, if that's something that catches your attention and you're interested in and you have a desire of pursuing, then all you need to do is keep listening. What if I told you that?
I think I could keep doing the podcast? Action.
All right. Well, let's roll right into AIDA, which clearly stands for attention, interest, desire, and actions. And it's a nice form of communicating just about anything. If you're writing an email, you're writing a pen and paper letter, writing a description, or in this case, doing it with your photos, since photo is kind of the currency that we use in e-commerce these days.
Yep.
So we'll teach you AIDA. It's pretty basic. It's a copywriting technique. There are many of them. So just like any sort of technique, if you Google that, you'll find alternatives and what people think are better and this and that, and you can go in circles about it. But I like this one. We like this one because it's pretty simple. It's easy to remember. It's just 4 letters, which is kind of nice. So, pretty solid. And the people who use it seem to get really solid results from it. So let's talk about AIDA and how it relates to photos.
Sounds good.
All right.
So the first A is attention, right? And what we're really talking about here with attention, with how it relates to your photos, is in the search results. That's the first place you're going to show up. That oftentimes is the first place that a shopper is going to have exposure to one of your listings. And what you need to do with the first A, the first A is really about grabbing their attention and helping them to see your listing in the search results and not just completely gloss over it.
Yes, and there's actually a lot of research having to do with signs and stuff like that. So when I say signs, I mean like stop signs, stuff like that, or like warnings and all those things. Like when you get to a certain number, which is actually a pretty low number. It all just kind of blurs together and you don't notice. So it's like, hey, didn't you see the big warning sign here that told you like warn about this one specific thing? And when it's mixed in with a bunch of other signs, what they find in studies is people actually don't acknowledge any of the signs. They just kind of see signs. They don't engage with any of them. So what do you think happens when someone does a search and they see a whole bunch of thumbnails, 40 some per page, and they all kind of look the same? Well, it all just kind of blends in. So stand up, grab their attention. People's eyes move in like sporadic movements, right? So if you look up anything like speed reading and stuff like that, I'll talk about like how your eyes basically go in blocks. So it's like it moves here, stops, moves here, stops, moves here, stops. And for the most part, it's not perceivable. But actually, if you leave one eye open, you close the other eye, and you make like a horizontal line back and forth while putting your finger on the closed eye, you can feel and you think you're moving like steadily across, but you can actually feel your eye stopping along the way. But it just happens so fast. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Now you do.
So one of the things you can keep in mind too with the attention thing is this happens everywhere. This is happening all the time, and this happens to you whether you're realizing it or not. So think about like when you go to the store, when you go to, let's say, a grocery store, for example, right? And you're in an aisle and there's a bunch of bread, okay? All of those bread manufacturers are competing for your attention. They want you to see their bag of bread on the shelf. And so they do different things to try and stand out. They might use color, right? Maybe like a bright color is going to catch your attention and go to that bread. Or maybe like a brown or an earthy color is going to make you think, oh, that's more of a natural, right? I don't want this crazy like neon thing. I'm looking for something that's got like good wholesome ingredients and doesn't have like crazy amounts of high fructose corn syrup or something in it. So they use all these different techniques all the time, and you can see it all over the place. Anytime you're looking at a set of things that is like reasonably similar, like a set of search results in Etsy, for example, they're competing for your attention, and they each want to stand out, and they each want you to recognize them.
Agreed. You ever go shopping for barbecue sauce?
I think, did we shop for barbecue sauce? I think we'd shop for mustard once.
I feel like we did shop for mustard once. And so we'll use that example. If you go shop for barbecue sauce or mustard, like take a look at all the options you have. There's no shortage of options. And a lot of them look the same. It's really hard to decide like you're not going to stand there and pick up each individual bottle off the shelf because that's crazy. You're going to spend your whole day doing that. So what you do is you see which ones look the most interesting to you. But first they've got to draw your attention. So you kind of scan it. You're like, this one is, something has caught my eye about this one. Okay, I take a glance at it. I'm looking at the front of the label. Looks interesting. If it looks interesting, I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to learn more about it. And maybe one of the things I'm going to check out is this thing, especially in the case of barbecue sauce, is it loaded with high fructose corn syrup or do they use something real?
Yeah, like real high fructose corn syrup. 100%.
Yeah.
Genuine.
Or like super high fructose corn syrup.
Exactly. So one of the things you can do that's kind of fun, and this is kind of like a little activity you can do on your own with looking at how attention works, is you can do this on Etsy or in Marmalead. If you're on Etsy, you're probably going to want to make sure that you're not logged into your account and you're in private browsing mode, so you're not getting kind of any like personalized search results. If you go to Marmalead, obviously we do that already. You're not getting any kind of personalized search results there, so it's a good way to test this too. But do a search, close your eyes before the page loads, okay? And then wait however much time it usually takes for your page to load. 10 seconds or so is probably enough. And open your eyes and just take note of where your eye goes first, because it's going to look at something first. You're going to see a listing somewhere first. And just kind of take note of that. That's something that happens all the time, and we don't even really pay any attention to it because there's really no value for us to pay attention to this normally. It just happens without us thinking about it. But if you pay attention to what you're looking at, you can start to do this multiple times and start to look at those photos and try to understand what do they have in common. What made me look here as opposed to the ones around it, right? And maybe you notice that your eye goes here and then somewhere else. Start looking at that. Start trying to understand that. What is making you see this listing before this other listing? You know, is it the color they use? Is it the fact that all of these other listings have a white background, you know, like we've talked about before on the podcast, and you chose to use the nice royal blue background, so you're standing out. Look at some of those things that is going on. And you don't have to just do this on Etsy. You can go pretty much anywhere and do this. You can do a search on Amazon and do the same exact thing. Probably not a good idea to walk around your grocery store with your eyes closed. I mean, unless it's really late at night and you're not going to run into anyone, then you could probably pull it off. But it's a cool test to do because your eyes are always going to go somewhere first. And it happens without you even thinking about it.
This is true. That's a really nice test right there. There's definitely like a set of things that actually are proven to make photos more attention grabbing. Like people are drawn to certain things, like faces and eyes. Like if you ever noticed that if there's a crowd of people, everyone else kind of blends together, but if there's someone looking right at you, like you see them right away, and you're like, why is that person looking at me? Right? We are naturally geared towards, if someone is focused on you, if someone's looking at you, you see eyes in your direction, you notice it and it stands out. And that's one thing you can do, especially if you sell something that lends itself well to a model in a photo. But there's just other things like the rule of thirds, right? That's a photography rule. So, the way things are laid out in a frame. Like you ever see a photo, you're scrolling through Instagram or something like that, and most of the photos just, but then there's one that's like interesting. I want to stop and I want to look at this. Like it's caught my attention. Something's going on here. You might not even know, like, hey, this is just a picture of a staircase. Why can't I just go take a picture of it? And you go try and do it. And it's just not that attention grabbing or good looking, right? And you don't know why. Well, there's like hidden rules in it, which is actually really interesting to me, especially if you open up like a photography book and stuff like that. You're like, oh my gosh, like, how is this tree so interesting to me? Like, why am I staring at this?
I have seen trees before, right? I can probably, if I close my eyes, I can picture a tree, but for some reason, it's just the composition of this makes it really interesting.
Right? I can't stop looking at it. So
maybe it's the super high fructose corn syrup. I don't know.
And something else to note about this acronym and the way this works is basically each part of this is it's one job is to get you to the next step. Right? Attention's job is to get you to interest to get desire to get to action. Like that's the overall goal. The whole reason you're even doing this is so that you can get someone to take a specific action.
Like buy.
So once buy, right? That would be a good action in your case.
That would be a good action. Favorites all right too, right? I mean, that's okay. Or share, but ultimately, ideally it would end up in a sale.
Ideally. That'd be good.
So that's a good segue, right? So, I mean, unless you have more to say about attention, Richie.
The only other thing I'll say about attention is Gordon shared some fantastic, like little, I don't know if I want to call them like tricks or whatnot, or like tests, little exercises to help you like start to be aware of what's catching your attention. I think that's really powerful. The more you see this stuff in the world, the more you understand it. And some things that I've noticed when I'm around Etsy is I'll see the same listing hanging out in search results, or I'll see the same listings from the same shop. And I've shared that before. And I can pick them out like that. Like instantly I can be like, boom, that is 4-letter words card listing right there. Like before I even look at anything else, titles, anything, like just the presentation, the way it's laid out, boom. It grabs my attention. I recognize it and I see it. And
it's the little sprinklies.
Yeah, it's really powerful. It almost makes everything else fade into obscurity. So it's powerful. And that's all on the attention part, is it's super powerful. Don't overlook it.
Absolutely. And if you're not teed up for the attention part, if you're not catching their attention right off the bat when they're looking through the search results, it's really going to diminish your chances of them clicking on your listing, right? And that kind of, that leads into the next step too, where Richie's saying how one step leads to the next, right? The first thing you need to do is get them to see your listing in the search results. Yep. The next thing you really want them to do is click it, right? And then you get them in there and you can feed them all sorts of other information. But in order to click it, they need to be interested in it. And that's the second letter, is I for interest, or intelligence for our first acronym.
And what's interesting about this is sometimes people will say, hey, I am ranked on the first page for this keyword, but I'm not getting the views I'm expecting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, that's because people aren't seeing you or aren't interested, right? So you're there, but you still have to be chosen.
Yep.
Right? Like you can be in the audience, right? But you're not going to get up on stage unless someone says, you right there, you get up here on stage, right? So just because you were there doesn't mean you were chosen. And the interest is really going to help you get chosen. It's going to get you clicked on. So if you're ranking for something, but you're not seeing people come to your listing and check it out, it's very likely that, either A or I in this acronym aren't really working.
That's a good point.
Thank you. I feel like I interrupted you from saying something.
I don't even remember what I was going to say, so I think that interruption was a good one. But interest, right? So, all right, now we need to convince them to click. How do we do this, right? We talked about different ways of testing attention and getting somebody's attention and helping them see something, but how do you build interest? How do you get somebody to want to click on something and find out more about it, right? Now, this is probably a little bit trickier. It's going to kind of tie back into what they're actually looking for, what they typed in, and if the photo that they're being presented with is in line with what they're actually trying to find on Etsy or on whatever platform that they're looking on. So this one gets to be a little bit more tricky, right? There's some places where you can see photos that are specifically geared toward capturing people's interest and making them click, right? And the first one that comes to the top of my head whenever I think of this is weather.com. If you guys have ever been out to weather.com because you're checking the forecast or whatever, you have undoubtedly seen all those crazy articles that they plaster all over like the side of the page and the bottom of the page to try and keep you on the website because they know that the longer you're there, the more ad revenue they'll gain. And most people go just to check the temperature or whether it's going to rain and then they're gone. But they want to keep you, right? They want to hook you. They want you to get there. They want you to see this thing and click it. So if you ever look at these super crazy photos that they have, these things are geared, like these are designed just to get your interest piqued and get you to click and stay on the site longer. Now, I don't know that I would go full crazy with your photos, kind of like they have in some of their examples. It's probably not going to work very well. But it's kind of the same principle, right? You kind of want to do that same thing. You want to give someone enough information that they're interested in it, but they still want to learn more. They want to click it. They want to find out more information about this listing.
It's a great point. And the weather.com videos and stuff like that, a lot of these, in fact, all over the website, all over the internet, I will see like toward the bottom of articles, you see these blocks, and I don't remember the company it's doing it, but there's a specific company that promotes them there. And there's definitely some very common things with it, right? Like pictures of houses. Like, hey, if you live in, whatever state you're in, because they use your location, you'll be surprised to learn about this new law about mortgages. And that's the text, but the picture there is a house. Why do they use a house? Because lots of people live in houses. And they think if they show you a picture of a house, then they can relate to you pretty quickly. And also, they'll show pictures, like I talked about before, of people, kind of people looking right at you or like off to the side. They're looking at something. You're kind of like, hey, what are they looking at? Or one of my favorite clickbaits is the one where it always seems to be a woman in a bikini for some reason. And she is always being arrested for some driving law.
New law in New York.
Right? New law in New York that, you're going to wish you knew. Or for some reason, while you're driving around in your bathing suit, you too will be arrested. And I'm very confused at why this is always happening. But I can see why people are interested in it. You scroll through Facebook and anything that involves someone being arrested immediately gets tons of engagement, tons of comments, like all that fun stuff. So I can definitely see how that builds interest. But things like that, it's like, hey, what's going on? It's piqued my interest. I have to know what's going on. Book covers. Gordon, I don't think you can see my camera right now, but I have this book, and it's called Bag the Elephant. And it is about, I guess what it's about isn't that important, but it's how to win and keep big customers, right? So this is like the corporate section of the bookstore. And what they've chosen here is to put a big old elephant looking at a guy who happens to have a paper bag behind his back because apparently he's going to put the elephant in the bag. Not sure I was going to do that, but
you're interested.
If you manage, but I'm interested, right? It's different. It stands out from what the other ones are, and it does happen to have that like bright white background and everything. And here you got this guy in the suit. I'm going to describe it visually for everyone who's listening instead of watching. But it's basically the elephant is looking at him, but it's kind of like a sideways glance to you looking at the book. So again, like the your eyes are directed to what the elephant is looking at, which happens to be this guy in a suit holding a bag. And the whole thing is just kind of like, what's going on here? I want to go see what it is. And then you look down, how to win and keep big customers. And you're like, big like the elephant, ha ha ha. Now it's in your hands, right? Because that's how close you have to be to actually read what's going on here. Next thing you know, you're flipping through the book, and that's when you start getting to that next letter of the acronym. But nonetheless, even though bookstores, whether or not they're on the decline or not is to be debated. But nonetheless, I was in a Barnes and Noble not long ago, and you'll notice the same thing, right? Magazines, again, big section of magazines, and take a look at the covers, right? Like there are definitely some of them that stand out, and they're definitely doing that purposefully. And same with books. Notice the books, the bargain books, don't stand out very well. They all kind of look the same. Like walk by that bargain book table next time and take a look at the kind of like plain covers and stuff like that. They don't really stand out that well. But the other ones and like the bestsellers, they look a lot more like this. So one of the things I always like to do when I'm trying something is take a look at others who are doing it really well. And so one of those examples is like books.
That's a good example. Another tool that you have kind of in your tool belt that you can use is our Rock Your Photos report, which will give you some really good information in understanding, how clickable some of your photos are. And some of the results might surprise you. Like you might find that out of your 5 photos, the most clickable one isn't the one you were using as your thumbnail photo. So you might want to start rethinking some of these things. You can get to the Rock Your Photos report at marmalead.com/apps, and you'll find it there, as well as the Shop Fitness Calculator. But when you look at your Rock Your Photos report, right, we have actual shoppers score your photos on different criteria. One of them is quality, one of them is appeal, and one of them is clickability. And so when you're looking at level of interest and building that and getting people to want to click things, the two you're really going to want to focus on here are how appealing your photo is and how clickable it is, which is kind of independent of quality. Obviously, I might not want to click on a photo that is like blurry or pixelated or not high resolution or really drab looking. But the clickability score really kind of stands on its own. Because I could have a very nice high quality photo here, but if it doesn't compel me to click it, I'm not going to give it a high click score. And when you're looking at the Rock Your Photos report, you can easily see how people have scored your different photos. And the more people you get, obviously the bigger pool that it's comparing, and you can get a better sense of what your actual average scores are for each of your photos in the clickability area.
That makes sense. Yeah, that's a strong one. One of the things is step out of your normal circle and stuff like that, and like really get in touch with what people, like the normal person, not people that do this, sell professionally and stuff like that, right? Like the normal person who's not paying attention to these things. Do they find it interesting? Do they find it clickable? Because once you start thinking about this stuff, you kind of can't put your brain back in the box kind of thing. You'll see things and start critiquing that it's doing this wrong and that wrong and stuff like that. Well, that's like an overly professional opinion in that case, right? Like you're going to get too good to judge your own stuff by if it's working out in the world. Mm-hmm. And there's just all sorts of things. Like, we talked about people in the photos. We talked about like interesting layouts and characters like elephants in there and what they're looking at. There's things like, a lot of times, I guess at least in Western cultures, we read from left to right. So, right? And same kind of goes with our eyes are very used to that. So having a photo even read from left to right. Gordon, I know you were going to talk a little bit about clever cropping and stuff like that. So, you could take a photo. That doesn't mean you have to keep it like that full frame as you took it, right? You can adjust that a little bit.
Yeah, sometimes it depends on what your product is, and it might not work for you, but lots of times if you can show a portion of your product, enough so that people can see it, understand what it is, and recognize that it's a good quality thing, but leave out a portion of the photo, like crop a portion of it out, that kind of builds curiosity. People are going to see that and they're going to want to see the full picture. Well, like what's over there? Like what's the rest of this thing look like? I see like this part of it, but what about the back side of it? I want to see the back side of it. All of those things can help to build, curiosity and interest in clicking and learning more about a listing.
That's a great point. In fact, an extreme example of that is those tests where people will like walk out of a building and they'll look straight up in the sky like they're looking at something. And then another person comes next to him, doesn't say anything, but looks too. They just want to see. Next thing you know, you have a whole group of people who are just looking in the sky. And it's all because one person stopped there to look in the sky and everyone else had to like go see what it is. It's that curiosity. It builds interest. So imagine that same kind of thing with your photo, right? The equivalent of someone's looking at something, but it's not in the frame. And you have to find out what that is. Like, what is that other thing? TV shows do this. Everyone hates the to be continueds, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Netflix kind of solved that when it's, a past season, which is fantastic. Now we just laugh at those if it's on Netflix. To be continued in 30 seconds. But it's that's what I think of when I think of interest and when I think of, just like, hey, what's on the other side? Like, or a birthday present, right? Like, it's the whole point of wrapping and stuff. It builds this suspense. It builds this interest. What's in there? Have you ever shaken the box and people are like, oh, what's in there, right? It's interest.
Yeah. Another example of the curiosity aspect of it, again, is if you go back to the skeezy photos on weather.com, a lot of times you'll see ones where they've circled something in the photo, right? And like the small little thumbnail, you can't quite make out what it is. Like they circled something and it's like, it says my mind's going to be blown when I finally see what this is. Like I won't believe this mistake that so-and-so made and it circled and I just can't tell what it is. I have to click it to see the bigger picture so I can see what in the world they circled and what's going to blow my mind. It's just another way of building curiosity and trying to get me to click on something.
That's right. And if you're doing it, if people click it and they land on what they expect and you're giving them what they want, then that's great. But if you're clicking the thing you wish you knew so you don't get arrested while you're driving around in your bathing suit, and then you find out like it just wants you to apply for like, another quote on your car insurance or like, refinance your home. You're like, what? This has nothing to do with what I clicked. And that's when things get a bad rap. So, but if you catch my attention with something and like, hey, same article, right? Like, hey, you wish you knew this. And I click it. I'm like, holy crap, they actually made that a law now? Yeah, that's a good thing I know that now.
That's a good point.
Right?
So,
yeah, absolutely.
So step one, right, we captured their attention. We've got their attention. They noticed our listing in the search results. Step two, we captured their interest. They see it and they want to click and they click it. Okay, now we're into step three, which is, Richie? Detection. No, I'm just kidding. That was the original acronym. Step three is desire, right? So the next thing we want to do is go ahead and build desire.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, cool. All right, yeah, you froze up for a second. On your side, I said desire, and then a few seconds later, you said desire, so I wasn't quite sure.
Maybe that'll get reinforced for him.
Perfect. Yes, this is a good time to reinforce desire. It's an important one, obviously, right? You want people to naturally want what you're selling. That's the whole point. So make them want to buy your listing. And to build desire, I mean, there's different things, obviously, right? You can show how the product is used, right? Either showing people using the product if it's something a person uses, or if it's like something decoration-wise. Like while we're putting these notes together, Gordon and I were talking about, like, even if you're selling someone a couch, like no furniture magazine that I've ever seen or like ad or anything, showroom, ever just puts a couch in front of a white background and says, hey, here's a couch. You want this couch? It's the couch. It's pretty great. Here's the dimensions.
Couch. It's a beautiful couch.
Should I wrap it up for you? I can have it home delivered, And it's like, I don't know. Like, how does it look in a room that, that is desirable to me, right?
Yeah, next to a table with a lamp and some pillows on it.
Right? They stage everything. So, you put the couch to stage it. They have the photo with, with the bookshelves that they want to sell you. And they've got all that different stuff. And it's all like wrapped around your fireplace and everything, right? So that it builds up like, wow, yeah, that looks really comfortable. Like, I want to sit in that room. It doesn't have to be your room. It just has to be a room you want to sit in. And you start to associate those products with that good fuzzy feeling you have when you see it in the photos. And when that's the thing that, like, with e-commerce, I feel like a lot of people are still kind of catching up on. It's easy to get those kind of feelings when you go and pick something up and experience it. You sit on the couch and stuff like that because you're there. right? And it's easy to think like, of course I'm going to stage this, right? Like only in a discount furniture warehouse do you just put the furniture in like a big warehouse on a white floor, right? Or like a gray floor. But if you go to like a nicer furniture store, everything is always staged. Everything's set up well to make you feel like home, make you feel like I want to live right here, right here in the store, right here where the couch is right now. I don't want to take it anywhere else.
And you can, because you can buy everything. You can buy the blanket they put on the couch.
Right? Yeah, we'll just box up the whole thing and bring it to your house. It'll be great.
I'll take this room.
Doesn't fit in your house. We got a guy for that too. Hey, let's talk to this realtor. We get you a house that fits in. Right?
Yeah.
And then you come back, buy more furniture. It's all part of a system. So yeah, and it comes back to knowing who your customer is though, right? Like you have to know who your customer is so you understand what they like. I know before I've talked about like catalogs like the Eddie Bauer catalog or website. I don't know why I keep saying catalogs. Like I've got like a stack of catalogs or something around. Once in a while,
you do a lot of collaging, I thought, right? Don't you use them in collages?
I do so many collages, it's ridiculous. That's I guess once in a while, like I don't even know where they get my address from, but like a catalog, I actually know where they get it. It's just one of those published things. So it says or current resident. But anyways, they just show up once in a while. And if it's interesting, like Eddie Bauer outdoor catalog, right? Like I'll pick it up and flip through it. And they know that the persona is someone that wants to be outside. And they have pictures of like people at the base camp of mountains and stuff like that and hanging out in their like fuzzy boots and stuff that are great for the base camp. And then like, but when you're really climbing, you want to put on like these hardcore working boots over here and climb that mountain with all your pickaxes and stuff like that. They know that their customer that speaks to, right? Yep. So when they see that jacket on the person who's scaling Mount Everest, they're like, yeah, buddy, I want to be that, right? Yeah. And I need that jacket. Yeah. Even if I'm just walking from the parking lot to the office and it's like 45 degrees out. Like,
well, there's a little bit of an incline, man. It's not just a flat walk. There's an incline.
It's not perfectly level, obviously, right? I mean, have you ever noticed that streets do like go up in the middle, right? They're angled off to the side so the water actually flows off. So, I mean, if you've ever tried to go up that incline in 45 degrees with like a 5 mile an hour wind, you could feel that.
You're gonna want an Eddie Bauer jacket.
Oh, for sure. Probably like the guide series, extra down, like really you're extreme and you deserve it.
Yeah. That works though, right? Like people looking at that, like Richie's saying, they can identify with them at that level and that's going to work for them. But again, it ties back to knowing your customer, like Richie was just saying. And that's why it's super important to always talk to your customers and get to know as much about them as you can, get to know what their lifestyles are, what their goals are in their life, what they want to be doing, things that fit along with other purchases they've made. So it's really beneficial to have a better understanding of who your customer is and what they want in their life. And then you can make sure that, what you're presenting them is in line with that.
Absolutely. Now, if you're your own customer, it's going to be even easier because you can just start to think, okay, this is like, I make the type of product I buy. I have my own type of customer. I fit that persona. So I'm start thinking, not as a producer though, start thinking of like as a consumer and just try to get in the head of like, what about it is desirable to you? Like you buy this product, like why did you first start buying this product? What does it mean to you? That type of thing. And if you're not your own customer, think about or look like just walk around and see like some of the things you bought or like look at some of the catalogs that you like looking at. And then when you see a product, look at it and start thinking, why am I so drawn to this? Like, why do I want this? I want this, but why? So pick like something off your wish list, right? Why do I want this? What does it mean to me? What does it represent? Like, why am I going to be happier if I have this? And if you can start answering those questions, then it's going to be a lot easier to kind of present that.
And this kind of, as you were talking through that, Richie, it made me think of the 5 whys. And you could do this too with some of the things on your wish list. Like, well, okay, why do I want this? Well, I want it so that I can do this. Well, why? Why do I want to do that? And the whole idea with the 5 whys is you ask yourself why 5 times. And after 5, you're pretty much at the root of the whole reason to begin with. Because the first answer isn't always the biggest overarching, most meaningful answer. So you can do that too with yourself. Now, a good example of this, of building desire, right, is we just talked with Allison last week on the podcast, who sells digital prints. And her listing photos that she's using, she has recently introduced the idea of putting them in a frame on top of a radiator on like a nice white wall, kind of, sets it apart and makes it stand by itself. But the whole point of doing this is so that the shopper can picture this piece of artwork in a frame, in a home, in a room, in an apartment, wherever it's going to be, right? They can picture it, okay, I could see that going on my wall, right? As opposed to Allison just posting just the digital copy of the artwork. Like, well, that's nice. That's a very nice picture. It shows them this nice thumbnail there. I know exactly what it looks like, and I can imagine what mine would look like, but I'm not picturing it in my house yet. I'm not picturing it in a frame yet. I'm not picturing it printed out yet. And so taking that additional step for her photos really helps to serve the building of desire for her customers. And again, too, before you start like freaking out here and you're thinking, oh my God, like I'm trying to like, oh, this is so much stuff. I've got like, I got to catch their attention with my photo. I need to build their interest. I need to build this. Like, this is so much work here. No, like it's okay. Like the first photo, your thumbnail photo, your featured photo, you're going to want to focus on attention and interest. You don't necessarily have to make sure that that one builds desire too, right? Because keep in mind, they've clicked into your listing now at this point, and you really want to start building the desire with the other 4 photos that you have to use. Use some of those to take like close-up shots of your listing so they can see the intricacies and the detail that you put into your work, and they can know that it's quality. Like, show people using it, like some uses for this thing, like Richie was saying, so that they can kind of envision themselves using this. And you can use those photos to build the desire instead of like relying on a single photo that has to do all 4 of these things at once, which would be stressful.
Absolutely. I don't think you could. So, I mean, we personally think that sellers that use one photo for a listing, which, yes, there are lots of sellers, not a majority by percent, but there's lots of them out there by number that use one photo for their listings because they think it's a good photo and, everything else kind of speaks to itself, which is maybe the case if somebody is like a repeat customer. They know they've been doing business with you for a long time. They know what it is, like exactly. And there's like, no room for the imagination. Like it is this. I know I've bought it 100 times. I just know I need another one. So like a box of nails, like probably don't need a lot of pictures of a box of nails if I've been buying this for a long time, but for the most part, people want to see this other stuff. They need to know. And if, here's the other thing. If you're not doing it, someone else is.
Yeah.
So, you could say you don't need to do it, but if someone else is doing it, they're going to win the sale because people have options.
Yeah. Even if they are coming back to find your listing and they know what they're looking for and they're looking for that specific photo that's out there, there's a bunch of other photos around it that are competing for their attention and their interest and trying to compel them to click on those rather than the one that they came there looking for to begin with.
Absolutely. And there's got to be something that sets your product away from everyone else's, right? Like Etsy's full of unique stuff, whether it be vintage or handmade, right? We know that, okay, like vintage, okay. It's not handmade. It might not be one of a kind. Hey, it might be though. It might be one of a kind because it might be it might be the last one left, or it might be one of a kind in the sense that it's virtually one of a kind because it's very rare. Or, hey, maybe there are other ones out there, but it's vintage. Every one of them hasn't had the same experience throughout its life cycle, right? There's something special about this. If it's handmade, it can definitely be one of a kind, but there's something about your listing, this particular listing, that's different from the other ones. Well, photos, I mean, there's a reason there's that, a photo's worth 1,000 words, right? So this is your opportunity to showcase in visual form, the most readily digestible, doesn't matter what language anyone speaks or anything, they're going to understand the photo. This is your chance to stand out from the other ones. Don't just tell them what's different, show them what's different.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
That's
desire, right? So I think the last one we're on to now is action, right? So we've taken them from search results, seeing your photo there is attention, being interested in it enough to click to get in there. You've built desire with your other photos, showing placement of it and whatnot. Now, the last thing you want them to do is to actually make the purchase. That's the action you want them to take. And, kind of like we joked with at the beginning, maybe that's going to end up in a favorite or a share or something like that, but eventually it's going to end up in the action of a purchase, ideally. That's what we always want, right? So how do you build action into your photos? How do you get people to take an action?
Well, I think the first thing is you have to tell them to take an action, right? Notice all the different websites you go to where there's anything you can buy. Have you shopped for airline tickets lately? Have you?
No, I haven't.
Do you remember the last time you have?
Yes.
Do you happen to remember anything saying like, book now, there's only 2 seats available at this price?
Yeah, concert tickets do that too all the time. Ticketmaster.
There you go.
They even have a timer on their website. Like, they give you seats and they're like, you've only got so much time to confirm these and lock them in. Otherwise, you get kicked back and find new seats, and they're going to be like way in the back in the nosebleeds, and you're going to be paying the same price, and you're going to be so mad.
Yeah, like we're even going to like remind you that you lost the good seats. Like, we're going to make sure the seats we put you in, you can look at the seats you would have had. Good seats.
Yes.
You can see those people enjoying them. And we'll print on your ticket, not these seats. Not these ones.
Could have, but you didn't.
But you did. Because you didn't buy it in the 30 seconds we gave you. And yes, right. I've experienced that Ticketmaster countdown, and that thing is definitely devious, because it's like, it shows you like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like 60 seconds or something. You don't even have an account at this point. You're not logged in, signed up, anything. Like, you're just like, oh, I like these. And then it's like, hey, 60 seconds, do it. Like, get your credit card, make an account, do all that fun stuff.
Well, I mean, it's like, on the one hand, I'm sure there's a use for it, right? Because they don't want people squatting on these things. Like, a show gets announced, and you don't want a bunch of people just like scooping up all the tickets and then selling them at a higher price to fans and being able to resell these things and whatnot and all that kind of good stuff. But it's also a really good sales tactic. It just happens to work out for them really well that way.
Yep. Time boxing things and scarcity, those things kind of, who doesn't procrastinate, right? I know I do. If I don't set things as like a date this has to be done or something like that, I will procrastinate it. Because why would you not? We just kind of naturally procrastinate. So yeah, tell them. I think telling them is the number one thing you can do.
Absolutely.
Tell them to buy it. Give them, hey, like, if it's something that is vintage, for instance, or it's something that's handmade, you're not planning on making another one. You paint something, and this is the only one I'm painting. It's the only one like this. Well, when it's gone, it's gone. You can remind them of that too, because a lot of times, we are somewhat conditioned to there's always another chance, right? Or there's always another one, or they're going to make another one. Like, things are typically 1 of a million. But in this case, it's not. Remind them of that. Like, hey, you're on Etsy. This vintage item I have right here, I sell a lot of vintage, and I don't come across this very often. Like, this is a pretty rare find. There's just not another one like rolling off the conveyor belt that you can pick up and take home. This is in great condition. This is rare. If you have any story about it, right? Like, this is the typewriter that Ernest Hemingway used, for instance, right? Like, there's probably not a lot like that. So you can definitely point those out. And like, once this one's gone, then you miss out on the chance of being the next Ernest Hemingway, and the other guy gets to be that. And if it's, again, like a painting or something like that, you can point that out, like, hey, this is it. This is the one. Like, if you like this, if you like what I did here, then you should buy it, because once it's gone, it's gone. I'm done painting sunsets. This is the very last one I'm doing.
Another good thing you can do to help kind of like push the action forward is to offer an upsell that's only available for a certain amount of time. If we go back to Allison's example, right, where she had color washed backgrounds that she could put in there, it was an upsell. Yes. You could have a photo in there that says, hey, if you order before, November 1st or December 1st or whatever your cutoff is, if you order in this time frame that I have defined here, you get this free upgrade to this listing right now. And that's going to make people feel like, whoa, like, even if I do want this, I better hurry up and get it now before that offer isn't even available anymore.
That's true. That's a great one too. Throwing a little offer in there, and you can definitely do that in the photos. I've seen people do fun, interesting things in photos like that before. I'd like to see more of them do it. So limited quantity, bonus offers,
another
timing
cool thing,
things.
Another cool thing, I was going to say, there's sometimes listings where things might be available in multiple colors, right? And so I've seen lots of sellers where there's maybe different fabrics involved, different colors involved. They'll have one of their photos be kind of like a grid showcasing all the different options. This is actually pretty clever because one of the things that's going to happen when a shopper sees this is, without even thinking about it, they're going to pick out their favorite, right? Like, oh, well, that's cool. Like, that's my favorite color right there. Or of all these fabrics, even if I'm not invested in making this purchase yet, I'm going to pick, oh, that's the best fabric of all this grid of 9 different fabrics here. They've already just made a choice in their mind. You've already convinced them to take a baby step, right? That's an action they just did. They just picked their favorite from a grid of colors, a grid of fabrics, a grid of options, whatever it is, right? You've got them to make a decision, they probably don't even realize they did it. They just saw the photo and immediately, boom, given a bunch of options, I'm going to pick one of these things. That's a good baby step to get them to take, with the idea of the next step being a purchase, right? They've already made a decision. They picked this one. Well, I know what I would want to do that. Now, that's a good baby step. The next step is to actually make the purchase.
You've just described the commitment bias. Once we've started making decisions, it is hard to go backwards because we've already made the decision, and that was hard. In finance, there's something called a sunk cost, and people have a very, very, very tough time with that. It's basically that, once you've invested something in it, whether that be money, which in finance, that's it, or what you just described, the commitment bias. Once you commit, you're like, well, I've already gone this far. That doesn't mean you should keep going, Like, I've already got myself in this much trouble. I might as well go more, right? Which is kind of what it's saying, though.
That's how gambling works, right? That's how Vegas makes all their money.
That's a great point. Hey, I already lost all my money. How much worse can it get? Let's borrow some.
I still have a car.
Yeah. Or that episode of The Office where with Steve Carell. So the American version of that. And he's following the GPS. He's like, hey, we'll just go listen to the machine. And because he's all upset because the website is beating their sales team.
I remember
so anyways,
that one.
he's like, no, I'm just going to blindly follow the machine because it knows what's going on. And he drives it right like down a boat ramp into the water. And they're even pointing out, they're like, no, you're going to drive into the water. He's like, no, it knows what's going on. We'll just keep going. And he drives right in. He just keeps trying to go because he already followed it that far. So why back up? That'd be silly.
He's completely committed.
He's totally committed. So use that power. Harness that power.
Yes.
Once people commit, keep them going. Hey,
yes.
They want it. They do want your product. So it's not like they don't want it, right? But everyone gets buyer's remorse. There's almost like a pre-buyer's remorse, right? Like, do I really, how am I going to feel? Like, what if this, what if that, right? There's all sorts of questions that start creeping up in your mind, right? And for the most part, people kind of wish like, oh man, I should have bought those tickets before the timer expired, because the next day when you go back, they're actually gone. So
that's AIDA.
That's AIDA.
Now, we should point out too, right? Like, we just talked about AIDA specifically with photos and how you can apply it to your photos. But it's not just for photos. Like Richie said, it's for copywriting and for all kinds of other things too. And
it's everything.
It's everything, right? And you can apply it to everything. So one of the other cool things, I don't know if you wanted to share this or not. I guess I'm kind of already going to spill the beans for you here, Richie. But one of the things, the can's already half open, man. We're committed. Now we just got to tell them. I'm just going to upend this can, and there's going to be beans everywhere, and we can't put them back in the can. But one of the things that Richie's working hard on right now, as part of the onboarding series, is information about applying AIDA to more than just your photos, to your descriptions, to maybe your shop, your sections in your shop. It's a much bigger picture of AIDA and how it can work for you at a grander scale than just the photos for a single listing.
This is true. I am working on that.
Now the
beans are out. Well, we might as well further spill the beans, because that course is actually going to be part of the entrepreneur course, gated library. So,
there's so many beans on the floor right now. I can't step anywhere.
It's much like when you open something from the package and like it just like balloons out of the box. And you're like, this isn't going back. This cannot go back in that. That's not going back in there. I don't know how they did it, but it's not going back.
That reminds me, I bought this mattress once from Amazon. Actually, twice. The same mattress twice. Longer story. Anyway, when you open it up, it's like in this vacuum sealed tube, and it was just like, it just like blew up into this mattress-sized mattress, and it was one of the coolest things ever. But there's no way I could get that mattress back in there, no matter how hard I tried. I couldn't roll it up and suck all the air out. It'd be crazy.
You could try.
I feel like I wouldn't get anywhere. Like, I don't know. Maybe if I like went into like some giant vacuum somewhere.
All you need is like some big rollers.
Big roller.
Oh no, a bunch of those. They sell those bags at the grocery store and like Target and stuff, where you hook up the machine, the vacuum sealers.
Yeah.
So what you need to do is just get a bunch of garbage bags and like melt them together with like an iron, right? And then hook that up to like vacuum. A wet vac.
It's gonna need to be I might need multiple vacuums though. I mean, it's a mattress, man. There's like screws and like springs and foam and stuff in there.
Oh, I think you have to do is you have to help it out a little bit by rolling it up at the same time. So hook it up and then start rolling it up. So force that air out, and the vacuum is mostly not going to actually like compress it, but hold it compressed.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Maybe I could bungee it. Maybe I could bungee cord it up once I rolled it up.
Since we've committed this far, I want you to go all the way through with it. And if you could, like, let's post that video in the show notes.
I don't have the box anymore. I'll have to order a new one. I mean, I have the mattress, but I threw the box out or recycled it or whatever we do with boxes.
Could you like build a box from memory, like that fits the size of that box?
You know what? I bet I could look up the shipping description, like the dimensions of the shipping container on Amazon's website, because I think they post that, right? I could probably get like, I have a bigger box around here somewhere, probably from something. I could probably make a box, right? With those same dimensions. And then try to get the mattress into that. I
like it. I think that's going to really show people what we're talking about. That's going to take...
I think that'll be the aha moment.
Yeah. They're going to be like, oh my gosh, they committed. They started talking about it. They got so committed. They actually went down this path, did it, posted the video. Now I can see the power of commitment. Commitment bias, for that matter.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a better way of illustrating that.
I don't think so. So while you're waiting for that, though, work on this. Try this. And at some point in the near future, there will be a special gated entrepreneur course library, which will include not just ramblings about AIDA, but will include actual like whiteboard videos and other fun things like that dive deeper in how you can use them in your photos and your communications in general, as well as your descriptions. Because keep in mind, every time you send a message or reply to a message, you can definitely use this style of communication. So overall, just communicating better. So while we're waiting, there's at least 4 wins in there. At least.
Could be more.
Time will tell. I like it. I'm still thinking about the mattress. I'm sorry. I'm just like...
I think it'll work. We'll mess around with it. We'll see what we get to with it.
That's good. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
All right. So we've covered attention, interest, desire, and action. Now, the action of this is to go apply it. All right?
Do it.
All right.
Do it.
Because yesterday you said tomorrow.
Wait, no, it's...
No, wait a minute. It's your yesterday.
It's got to be your yesterday, because here it's today. Yeah.
No, wait a minute. It's got to be your tomorrow.
Tomorrow you're going to wish you had done it yesterday.
Yeah.
So do it.
Today? Because yesterday you said tomorrow.
Your today.
It's easier just to do it. That's the Easiest way to
That's
go
good.
about it.
And let us know how it goes. Let us know what changes you made and how they worked out for you. Hit us up. success@marmalead.com. We love to hear stories. All kinds of stories.
And actually, once we post the blog post about the episode, because we turn these episodes into blog posts.
Sure do.
You could probably write comments. He does. He does a great job of that.
Yeah. He's typing this right now. Hi, Kevin.
In real time. He's going to write out all those yesterdays and tomorrows and stuff like that. And
I think you'll skip that part. He's just going to end this thing like 15 minutes ago.
He'll write it how it should have gone.
So he fixes it all up. And we'll re-record his blog post later.
This is like the blooper reel. This is...
But where I think you were going with that was you were going to tell people they should comment on the blog post and share their stories there too.
They should.
Am I right? Or were you going to say something else?
No, that's exactly what I was going to say. So
Nice.
share their stories in the comments on the blog post. That way, other people can see that you tried it out and it worked, or you could be like, hey, maybe I'm not sure if I did this right. And you can put it there too, and people can take a look.
Absolutely.
That'd be good. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you want to be a guest, always feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to have you on. I think we did okay with this episode not having a guest. We stumbled through it, right? It kind of like talked about something that I think made a little bit of sense.
I think it'll get better with practice.
Yeah. No cool flood stories, unfortunately.
Not yet, but you know what? We have a tornado warning right now.
Like in Florida, there's a tornado warning?
Yeah, there is, because this tropical storm or whatever it is, tropical depression, whatever they're calling it, it is a great opportunity for some tornadoes. So we have a tornado warning. Yeah, so you never know. Things might get exciting, and I might spend some time, hiding in the safe room. So
Wow. Well, yeah, stay safe, man. That's kind of not so much fun. I remember when I lived in Iowa, we had a lot of tornado warnings, like a lot of tornado warnings. There was definitely a tornado season in Iowa where like you get these massive thunderstorms that would roll through, and the thunderstorms were actually really cool. It was fun to like go out on the porch and watch these things like roll through and everything, but we got so many tornado warnings, it was kind of nuts. So we spent a lot of time in the basement. Especially with the kids. I mean, it's one thing like when it was Alyssa and I and we're just kind of hanging out, it's like whatever, all right, whatever. But once you have kids, it's kind of like, I feel like an obligation to like help these things survive, so we should probably play it safe and head down to the basement.
So you're not gonna be the one taking those videos by like the big sliding glass doors?
It's not gonna be me.
And like they actually see the tornado out there, and they're still like, "Hey, that was great!" Like
that's pretty close.
Next to the tornado. That's how those videos always go too. They're always like, "Wow, that's really close." Is it just me, or is that getting closer? I need a second opinion.
Yes. No, that won't be me.
Won't be you.
No, will not. Nope. I'll be in the basement watching Netflix and not falling for their cliffhangers at the end of episodes because I can just play the next one.
They're going to need a new way to build interest, I'll tell you.
Good stuff.
That was good stuff.
All right.
I'm enjoying the background you have going on, by the way.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I thought I'd switch it up this week and shoot from outside. Hopefully the background noise isn't too bad. There are some people mowing in the middle of the thing, so hopefully that doesn't ruin it too much for everyone who's listening. But yeah, I thought I'd switch it up a little bit.
I'll tell you what, actually. So I really didn't hear the mowing.
Good.
I feel like I could hear like some birds or something like that.
Oh, good. Well, that's nice. Little nature. There's lots of birds and bunnies and all kinds of animals around here, which is kind of nice.
Nice.
No pet bunnies yet, though.
Oh, that's right.
Yet.
Yeah.
We'll see.
You need one. That's your animal, man. And if you want to know more
bunnies.
about that, you got to listen to episode 17.
That's right. Where we covered bunnies.
What I like about the background right now here also is now I see some cars back there. But before that, and it's pretty faint too to see the cars, behind you, it looks like there's a lake behind you because above the trees, it's kind of washed out from the light.
Yeah.
And you can't, but I also see what almost looks like, I don't know, land in the distance. back there. And in the separation where it's just kind of like white, it looks like there's just maybe in my head, I'm filling in the image and I'm seeing like water and I'm expecting water. So like you're at like some sort of lake house right now, hanging out on the balcony. You got this nice like scenic nature scene behind you.
Yeah.
There's like a lake back there. And after this, you're going to go kayak or canoe or something like that. Maybe catch dinner.
That sounds awesome. I'm actually going to go grill burgers after this over at my parents' house, which is kind of that direction. A little more that way.
Do you have to kayak across the lake to get there?
I don't, dude. There's not a lake that way. I don't hate to like shatter this awesome like painting you just presented, because I totally want to own it, and like kayaking sounds like a lot of fun right now, like across the lake and everything. But like it's just a road. There's just houses. There's no lake. There's a lake over that way, but my house is in the way, so you couldn't see it right now.
Yeah, you're definitely pointing in the opposite direction.
Maybe, I don't know, man. Maybe I can shoot from a lake sometime. I'll find one.
That'd be cool. Okay. Well, you just pointed to one, so I think you found one.
I'll just like camp out in my neighbor's backyard. Like, what's up, man? Don't mind me. I'm just making a video.
Doing an episode. Etsy Jams. Too much to I don't need to explain it. Just listen to an episode while I do this, and you'll get it totally by the time I'm done.
Yeah.
Just give them the 3-hour episode to listen to. Then we'll have plenty of time.
There you go. There you go.
That'd be good. I never pointed out why I'm wearing a tie.
I like that. Don't say anything about it. Tune in next time to see if Richie wears a tie again.
Are you building interest?
If you're just listening, if you're just listening, go to YouTube and check out the actual video here, because Richie wearing a tie is not what you're thinking right now. It's kind of a little more than just you've got a tie on. It's pretty fantastic.
You know what? I can see myself in the video, and I'm still interested. I still want to go to YouTube and see what you're talking about.
Nice. That's your action. Go to YouTube and search Etsy Jam AIDA, AIDA. You'll find it.
But don't just start at episode 18. Start at episode 1.
Yeah.
So by the time you get to 18, it'll make sense.
Right.
You gotta watch it.
Like, wow, I just wasted like 20 hours of my life.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Time wasted that you enjoy is not time wasted.
We're shooting for the enjoyment factor, right?
We sure are.
Perfect. All right, guys. Well, we do hope you enjoyed this episode of Etsy Jam. We always enjoy making these things. And we'll catch you guys next time. Episode 19. Is Richie going to wear a tie? Am I going to be in front of a lake? I don't know. You're going to have to tune in. Check it out. Take it easy. See you guys next time on Etsy Jam.